You think you've seen it all when it comes to harvesters. Well, think again. Today we're digging into a world where size doesn't matter, and where tiny machines tackled big jobs and left a huge mark on American farming history. From backyard beasts to factory-built oddities, here are 10 mini American harvesters you honestly won't believe ever existed. Let's roll! Starting with number 10, the CLS Columbus. This impressive machine first rolled out in the early 1970s, and it quickly earned a reputation as one of CLS's most iconic self-propelled forage harvesters. Built in Germany, the Columbus was engineered for serious heavy-duty work, designed to handle the high-capacity harvesting of silage, corn, and a variety of other crops with remarkable efficiency. Underneath its sturdy chassis, you'll find a powerful diesel engine, delivering the muscle needed to tackle demanding jobs on large farms. But it wasn't just about raw power. The Columbus featured an advanced cutting system that ensured smooth, consistent crop flow, making harvesting faster and less stressful for farmers. One of the standout features of the Columbus was its operator cab. Compared to other machines of its era, the cab provided improved visibility and a level of comfort that helped reduce fatigue during long days in the field. This attention to operator experience helped set the Columbus apart and made it a trusted partner for farmers focused on productivity and precision. Farmers who used the Columbus praised its reliability and durability, with many machines staying in operation for years, a true testament to CLS's commitment to quality engineering. The Columbus was more than just a machine. It helped redefine what a forage harvester could be and played a key role in advancing agricultural practices. Across Europe and beyond, today the CLS Columbus remains a symbol of innovation and power in the world of farming equipment. Its legacy can be seen in the design of modern harvesters, which continue to build on the foundations laid by this pioneering machine. Whether you're a collector, a farming enthusiast, or simply curious about the machines that shaped agriculture, the CLS Columbus stands out as a remarkable piece of history, one that proved how engineering excellence and practical design can come together to transform an industry. Number 9, the CLAAS A6 Combine. In the golden age of American farming, one machine stood out as a true game changer, the CLAAS A6 Combine. Released in the late 1950s, this wasn't just another piece of machinery, it was a glimpse into the future of harvesting. Built during a time when efficiency meant everything, the A6 brought something new to the field, a hydraulically driven variable speed rotor. This feature allowed farmers to adjust on the fly, whether they were moving through heavy barley or lighter oats. The A6 could keep pace without breaking a sweat. It was a big step forward from the belt-driven machines of the past, and it gave farmers the control they needed during unpredictable harvests. Under the hood, the A6 offered either a gasoline or diesel engine, both known for their reliability and steady power output. No matter the conditions, it delivered consistent performance across a variety of grain crops, from wheat and rye to barley and oats. And with a wide cutting header, it could make quick work of large fields, helping farmers stay ahead of weather, shifts, and long harvest hours. But what really made the CLAAS A6 stand out was its smart, modular design. Repairs and maintenance? Way easier than with most other combines of its time. That meant less downtime and more time doing what mattered most, getting the crop in. The grain tank on the A6 was built for capacity, and the unloading auger was fast, cutting turnaround time in the field. These small design choices added up to big-time savings, especially during the busiest weeks of the year. Rugged, dependable, forward-thinking, the CLAAS A6 wasn't just a tool, it was a trusted partner in the push toward modern farming. And while it might not turn heads on a showroom floor today, it still holds a special place in the hearts of vintage equipment enthusiasts and collectors who understand its impact. Even now, decades later, you'll find carefully restored A6A showing up at farm shows across the country, not just as relics of a bygone era, but as reminders of when American engineering and farming ambition came together to change the way we work the land. Number 8, the Gleaner Model A, the machine that redefined the American harvest. In the heart of the Midwest, where rows of corn stretch for miles and amber waves of grain are a way of life, one name became legendary among farmers: Gleaner. And it all started with the Model A, a machine so forward-thinking it reshaped the way we looked at harvesting. Built by the Baldwin brothers in the 1930s and refined over the following decades, the Gleaner Model A wasn't just another combine, it was the first commercially successful self-propelled combine made in the United States. That's right, at a time when most farmers were still hitching harvesters to tractors, the Model A put the engine, threshing, and separating power all in one unit. That alone made it revolutionary. But what made it beloved was its simplicity. reliability, and ease of repair. With a lightweight aluminum body and a streamlined design, it wasn't just efficient, it was nimble. Farmers could cover more acres in less time, even in challenging field conditions. Its unique transverse rotary threshing system was ahead of its time, delivering cleaner grain with less damage, something that made a real difference at the elevator. And because it was built to be maintained in the field, even small operators could keep the machine running strong through long harvest days. The Gleaner Model A ran on a reliable 4-cylinder engine and came in both gas and diesel versions, depending on the model year. Operators loved its smooth handling and the wide cutting head that made it perfect for everything from wheat to soybeans. This wasn't a flashy machine. It didn't need to be. It was dependable, practical, and rugged, a true farmer's tool, and maybe that's why so many old-timers still talk about it with a kind of quiet reverence. Not because it was the biggest or the fastest, but because it showed up every day, got the job done, and helped families bring in the crop when it mattered most. Today, the Gleaner Model A holds a place of honor among antique machinery collectors and vintage farming enthusiasts. You'll find them lovingly restored, still rolling under their own power at county fairs and classic tractor shows, not just as a piece of history, but as a symbol of American farming ingenuity at its best. Number 7. The John Deere Model 12A, a threshing legend from the golden age of American farming. Step back into the 1940s, a time when horsepower meant horses were slowly being traded for something louder, tougher, and green. That's when John Deere introduced the Model 12A thresher, a pull-type combine that changed the way farmers approached the harvest. Now, it wasn't self-propelled, and it didn't have a cab with air conditioning. But what it did have was reliability, ruggedness, and a design that made it an absolute workhorse out in the field. Designed to be pulled by a row crop tractor and powered via the PTO or a belt drive, the 12A could rip through wheat, oats, barley, you name it, delivering clean, separated grain at a speed that, for its time, felt revolutionary. And for small to mid-sized farms that couldn't justify the cost of early self-propelled combines, this was the machine to own. Its simplicity was part of its genius. With straightforward mechanics, minimal moving parts, and a durable steel frame, the 12A could be maintained with tools most farmers already had in their barn. It didn't ask for much, just some grease, a watchful eye, and a good tractor up front. The canvas conveyor, the reel, the threshing cylinder, all of it worked in smooth coordination, making the Model 12A not just efficient, but dependable. In harvest season, when timing was everything, that dependability made all the difference. And let's not forget, this was a John Deere machine, built in Moline, Illinois, with the kind of Midwestern pride that meant it was made to last. In fact, some 12As are still in running condition today, turning heads at antique equipment shows and demonstrations. For many farmers, this was their first real experience with mechanized grain separation. It was their step into modern farming, and while newer machines eventually took over, the John Deere 12A left a mark, a green and yellow legacy that still lives on in the memories of those who grew up working behind one. This wasn't just a piece of equipment, it was a partner in the field, and for those who ran it, the sound of its thresher at full speed was more than noise. It was the sound of progress. Number 6. The New Holland 975, a combine that helped define the future of American harvesting. Picture this, late 1970s. The agricultural world was shifting gears fast. Bigger fields, higher yields, tighter schedules, farmers needed machines that could not only keep up, but stay ahead. That's where the New Holland 975 combine stepped in. From the moment it rolled out, the 975 looked like it meant business. With its broad stance, tall profile, and unmistakable yellow and blue livery, this wasn't just another piece of farm equipment, it was a statement. Under the hood, it packed a powerful diesel engine tuned for endurance and torque. This wasn't about flashy horsepower, it was about reliable, all-day strength. Whether it was corn, soybeans, or wheat, the 975 handled it with ease, thanks to its high-capacity rotor system that delivered clean threshing without sacrificing speed. And speaking of speed, its spacious grain tank and rapid unload auger meant you spent more time cutting and less time waiting around for wagons. In an industry where every minute counts, that made a world of difference. But what really set the 975 apart was the experience it gave the operator. The cab was surprisingly advanced for the time, better visibility, sound insulation, and yes, climate control. For long harvest days, that was more than comfort. It was a game changer. It helped farmers stay focused, productive, and less fatigued by sunset. The adjustable concaves gave operators flexibility that felt futuristic back then. You could fine-tune the threshing system on the fly, depending on the crop, its condition, and even the weather. It was all about control, and that control translated to cleaner grain, less waste, and better returns. Out in the field, the New Holland 975 didn't just perform, it impressed. It carved out its place on commercial farms across the country, not through marketing hype, but through consistent day-in, day-out reliability. And today, it's remembered as one of the cornerstones of late 20th century harvesting. A machine that helped farmers push the limits and raise the bar on what a combine could be. The New Holland 975 wasn't built to be flashy. It was built to work, and work it did, season after season, harvest after harvest. Number 5, the Oliver Model 15 Combine. Small in size, big on reliability. Back in the early 1950s, farming wasn't just work, it was timing. Getting crops in on time with minimal waste meant everything. And for mid-sized farms, the Oliver Model 15 Combine showed up as a quiet revolution. This wasn't a flashy machine. It was practical, rugged, and built with one goal: get the job done. Farmers could choose between the pull-type model or a self-propelled version depending on how their operation was set up. That kind of flexibility wasn't common back then, and it gave the Model 15 an edge. Inside, the combine used a traditional threshing cylinder and straw walker system. Nothing fancy, just a proven design that efficiently separated grain from stalk with impressive consistency. Powered by a dependable gasoline engine, it ran smoothly and was easy to service. A big deal when every hour of downtime meant money lost. It wasn't the fastest combine in the field, but it was one of the most trusted. The kind of machine that earned its place on the farm, not because of horsepower or speed, but because it showed up every single season, ready to work. Even decades later, collectors and old-timers remember the Model 15 for what it was: a reliable partner in the field during a time when reliability was everything. Number 4, the McCormick-Deering No. 62 Combine, a quiet revolution on wheels. In the early 1930s, American farming was at a turning point. The dust hadn't settled on the Great Depression, and every acre, every harvest, and every dollar counted more than ever. Enter the McCormick-Deering No. 62 Combine, a machine that didn't just show up in the field, it changed the game for small grain farmers. This wasn't some oversized monster that needed a crew to run. No, the No. 62 was built smart, compact, efficient, and ready to work with either a team of horses or a small tractor. That kind of flexibility made it a game changer for smaller operations that couldn't afford the bigger machines flooding the market. For the first time, cutting, threshing, and cleaning grain could all happen in a single pass. That meant fewer steps, less labor, and more time saved during the critical harvest window. Farmers who had spent years working with stationary threshers suddenly found themselves covering more ground, faster, cleaner, and with less backbreaking effort. The No. 62 wasn't just practical, it was also thoughtfully engineered. Its lightweight frame made it nimble in tight turns in smaller fields. But don't let that fool you. When it came to performance, this machine could handle tough crops and stubborn terrain without flinching. It was the kind of tool you could rely on season after season. But maybe what made the No. 62 really stand out was how it bridged the gap between the old world and the new. It respected the traditions of horse-drawn farming while opening the door to full mechanization. In that way, it wasn't just a combine, it was a symbol of progress, quietly helping farms survive and adapt in an era of uncertainty. Today, the McCormick-Deering No. 62 is a piece of history. You'll find a few still preserved in barns, sheds, or proudly on display at vintage farm shows. And for those who know what they're looking at, the sight of one brings back memories of long summer days, golden fields, and the satisfying hum of a job well done. This machine didn't need bells and whistles. It had heart, purpose, and timing, and sometimes that's exactly what farming needs most. Number 3, the Graingoat, a forgotten workhorse from farming's golden age. Long before tractors ruled the fields and combines streamlined the harvest, farms across America relied on a clever, no-nonsense piece of equipment known as the Graingoat, built by the Mott Manufacturing Company in the early 1900s. This wasn't just another wooden wagon. The Graingoat had a specific mission, like get loose grain from the field to the barn or elevator fast. Its nickname came from its distinctive front-end design, which looked a bit like a goat's head bowed in motion. Rugged, wide, and tough as nails, this machine could carry a surprising amount of grain in one trip. The process was beautifully simple. During threshing, the Graingoat would be positioned right behind the separator, catching clean grain as it poured out. No hydraulics, no complicated belts, just smart design and solid craftsmanship. Then, once full, it was hauled off by a team of horses or mules, ready to unload and come back for more. This was a time when farming was built on timing, teamwork, and tools you could trust. And that's exactly what the Graingoat offered. It was a bridge between manual labor and mechanized harvest, quietly boosting efficiency without drawing much attention to itself. For many farmers, it became an essential partner during harvest season. Always there, always reliable. And though today it may seem primitive compared to modern grain carts, back then the Graingoat felt like a revolution on wheels. Few of these machines have survived the decades, but the ones that do, they sit in old barns or museums, worn but proud. Reminders of a time when American farming was shifting gears, and every tool had a story. In its own way, the Graingoat tells a powerful one about ingenuity, endurance, and the quiet brilliance that defined early 20th century agriculture. Number 2, the Massey Clipper, the combine that changed everything. Back in 1938, when most farms still relied on stationary threshers or pull-type machines, something extraordinary rolled onto the fields. It wasn't massive, it wasn't flashy, but it was a glimpse into the future, and they called it the Massey Clipper. This was one of the first self-propelled combines to see real commercial success, and for farmers across North America, it felt like stepping into a new era. No more coordinating a tractor with a trailing combine. No more wasting time setting up machinery in the field. With the Clipper, one operator could cut, thresh, and clean grain in a single pass, all while driving the machine forward. Its compact design was deceiving. Under the hood, a gasoline engine delivered the muscle, powering everything from the drive, wheels to the threshing cylinder. The Clipper was light on its feet, nimble enough for tight turns, but tough enough to tackle acres of wheat, oats, and barley with surprising efficiency. And it wasn't just about the mechanics. What really set the Clipper apart was how it fit the needs of real farmers. It was simple to operate, easy to maintain, and it actually did what it promised: cut harvest time, reduced labor, and boosted yields. Across the Midwest and the Canadian prairies, farmers saw it as a revolution. Suddenly, smaller farms could keep up with growing demand. Harvests that used to take a full crew now needed just one skilled operator and the Clipper at their side. The Clipper didn't just pave the way for modern combines. It redefined what was possible in an era when every grain counted and every minute in the field mattered. Today, spotting a surviving Clipper is like finding a piece of living history. Rusted or restored, it still carries the legacy of a machine that helped move agriculture forward. One field, one harvest, one bold idea at a time. And now, our number 1 pick, the Allis-Chalmers All-Crop 60. There are farm machines that just did their job, and then there are the ones that changed everything. The AllCrop 60 falls squarely in the second category. Launched in the early 1950s, this machine wasn't built just to do one thing. It was made to do everything. Wheat, oats, barley, soybeans, flax, rice, even sunflowers. The AllCrop 60 could handle it all. And for countless American farmers working with tight acreage and diverse crops, that kind of flexibility was a game changer. What made it so effective wasn't just its capability, it was how smartly it was designed. The compact frame and rear-mounted engine gave it a tight turning radius, which meant it could slip through small fields and narrow corners where bigger machines just couldn't go. It didn't waste space, fuel, or time. And in farming, that matters more than most. People realized its belt-driven threshing system was simple but reliable, and the unit as a whole was surprisingly easy to maintain. If you were handy with a wrench, you could keep one running for decades, and many did. But beyond the specs and the steel, the AllCrop 60 earned a kind of quiet respect. It showed up season after season, helping families bring in their harvest. Without breaking the bank or breaking down, it became part of the landscape just as familiar as the barns and silos around it. Today, you'll still find a few of these orange legends tucked away in sheds or polished up for vintage farm shows. Collectors prize them, but for many folks, it's more than just nostalgia. It's a reminder of a time when innovation meant making life simpler, not more complicated. The Allis-Chalmers All-Crop 60 wasn't the biggest combine. It wasn't the fastest, but in terms of impact, it earned its place at the top. and then some. Hard to believe machines that small could pull off work that big, right? If you've made it this far, you've just time traveled through some of the most fascinating corners of vintage American farming. Got a favorite from the list? Or maybe one we missed? Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. And hey, if you love rare machines and rural ingenuity, you know what to do next.